Hey everyone, and welcome to BeamNG.drive. In today's video, I am going to be trying out the new skin editor. So to access it, we first have to go to the garage and then select it in the garage. So let's kind of get into there. I will mention really quick that I'm not on my typical recording setup. I hopefully will have a laptop within the next week or so that can actually handle everything I need it to do, so audio and video quality isn't going to be the greatest. Either way, the old way of doing custom paint jobs, you had to make the, I think it was either a J-beam or something. You had to do all the coding yourself. You'd need a program like GIMP or Paint.net, I believe it was called. I haven't used it in a long time. And then basically do everything manually, and it was a bit of a pain in the butt. But now, as you can see, in the garage, we have this wonderful decal button. So, the first thing I'm going to do is switch to my hopper, because any game that has a vehicle that's like a Jeep, I have to make it look like Little Jeep. It's what I always do. So, let's grab the normal, non-long arm version. I have to fix the picture for that. I changed the bumpers on it because the tires were hitting it. So let's load the hopper. And then I need to remove the standard, or one of the default vanilla paint jobs, because this was only temporary. There we go. I will fix the colors. Paint 1 should be this white, and then paint 2 should be this blue, and paint 3 should be this gold. Yes, that one. Okay, so now that that's fixed, we can go into the decals. It is currently work in progress, so there are kind of like bugs and features that would be nice to have that aren't here, and so on. I will mention that your saved projects, I'll call them, go into your app data folder under settings and then dynamic decals, and then your exported skins go under mods unpacked and then the name that you named it. I would recommend making a folder for your skins, as I believe it saves each one as a separate mod, but I'm not sure. So, as you can see, this is what we start out with. The fill layer is the base, very bottom layer that is the main color of your vehicle. So, I want it to be blue. Paint palette, I'm not exactly sure the main details, but this is the first color, second color, and third color in the palette, of course. I'm not sure exactly what 0 does. Okay, so 0 means it's not affected by any of the palettes. So, Little Jeep is metallic. It's actually quite metallic. It's really sparkly. But it was originally just supposed to be blue and white. It ended up being sparkly, so I always try and keep it metallic in games. However, the layers other than fill, I believe you can't assign a palette to. So I'm going to keep it 0 so that it goes to the normal blue each time. And then I'm going to call this main color. And then Little Jeep is a little on the dark side. but I want it to go well with the white. So let's go, I don't know. Let's go with a 50% brightness, just for now. I can always change it after. So, as you can see, this is, the fill is your main, whatever. Now, I am going to back out of editing the fill layer. I'm going to add a new layer and add it as a group, and call this the, I don't know, let's just call it the fascia, I guess. F-A-S-C-I-A, and then create it. So anything we put in under the fascia will just be fascia. Of course, it can still be placed anywhere, but whatever. One thing I really like about how they did it in this, though, is, if you notice, the decal is going over the fascia, the hood, and the fender. So if I were to do this like an old way, I would have to use little separate decals to make up the angles and so on. However, if we go back for a moment and open the hood, like so, it will no longer go on the hood, just on the front, which is really nice. It is a little buggy, as I will show in a moment. So let's go over here and choose square, because I should only need 2 or 3 squares to do this. There we go. One thing I don't like is how the excuse me, how the decal kind of rotates with the camera position, but I'm sure that will be addressed in the future, or they might leave it like that, I don't know, but it's a little annoying. So, I'm going to line that up with the fender there. Oops, that could have been a bit bigger. Does Control-Z remove it? No, it does not. Okay, so I'm going to go back and... Really? That did not work how I intended it to, so let's remake the group. Call this fascia again. Like I said, they're still working on it. It's not perfect. So we've got the fascia group. I'm going to add a decal, and then use W to make it longer. Another thing I like is if you're using a controller, you can use the controller to adjust the size and the rotation and everything instead of the keyboard, which can be quite helpful, especially with rotation, because I haven't figured out the buttons for rotation yet. So I'm going to go like so. Right about there. That looks like where I want it. And thanks to the hood being open, there's nothing on the hood. I'll do the same on this side. And then one in the middle. There we go. Okay, so that is the fascia. The paint job on the little Jeep is quite simple. I will show the glitch I was talking about, though. So if we close the hood, hide what we've done, and then reapply it, it goes on the hood again. So what we do is reopen the hood, hide everything, and then show it, and it fixes it. Just a weird little glitch it does, but if we keep that in mind, it should be fine. So now, I'm going to do the sides and the back. I'm going to do them... I was thinking of doing like 3 separate groups, but it kind of makes more sense to do it in one because they aren't separated. So let's go back, add a new layer, layer. I believe if we add another fill, it'll just cover everything again. So I don't want to do that. I'll test that in a minute once I save everything. So I'm going to add a new group. Call this sides, and rear. Oops. White. If I could spell properly. We'll create that. And now you can see everything I put on the fascia is under fascia, and now with this one selected, anything I add to here will go under that one. So, I also need to get the spare tire out of the way, but I'll do that in a moment. Little Jeep has white along the bottom, up onto the top of the back of the tub, and then across the back. So again, thanks to the way they did this, normally I would have to use different angled decals to get around that, and the only really angled one they have is, once it loads, is this one and this one. So it can be a bit of a pain in the butt. However, oops, I should have changed it to a square. However, thanks to, again, the way they did this, and it not really showing up on the door if I get the camera right. It was working a bit better before, but if you angle the camera a certain way, it works best. And then use the right buttons, not the arrow keys. Line this up with the bottom of the door so it is straight. Still not quite straight. The more I go that way, the more it angles down. Okay, so that looks like it's about straight with the bottom of the door. So I will make it wider and a bit thicker so it covers the entire bottom of the tub or the sill or whatever you want to call it. And then put it just on the bottom of the body line there. So let's go with right about there. And then, as I mentioned, instead of having to make an angled or rounded piece there, we can just use a square or a rectangle and align it up with the tub and the roof. Make sure it is straight. It's a little annoying with how they made it line up with the camera, but I'm hoping they change it. Okay, I need to angle the camera this way. And then bring it down to here, roughly. And there we go. And it did go on the back a little bit because it wraps around. Hopefully they'll adjust that too. And it also still wasn't perfectly straight. So I am going to go back, and undo doesn't quite work right at the moment, so I'm just going to straight up delete that one. Another nice thing is if you click on a decal and hit highlight, it will flash it purple so you can tell which one you're using. So let's go back into the layer and try to make it properly angled. It's too high in the back there. Still a little too high. That looks okay. I should have taken off the roof, but whatever. Alright, let's see how that looks. Much, much better. It's a little high right there, but not that big of a deal. If it bothers me, I can redo it. So I'm now going to do the same on this side. Make it shorter. Bring the camera down and line it up with the bottom of the door. Gotta turn the camera the right way. Another thing you can do is change view to left side. and then decal, and then I'm going to zoom in and bring it down again to just below the door sill, right about there. Yep, that looks about right. And then put the one on the back again. I'm going to again select the left camera, because hopefully that'll make it line up there. Ooh, it doesn't. It's higher on the back. So I need to do this. It'd be nice if we could pan the camera rather than just rotate it, but oh well, it's still the beginning. Make this thicker again, and then just kinda make sure it's lined up. That's a little high in the front. Okay, that looks okay. Still a little high in the front. And I will go rotate the camera a little bit more. I'm way too particular when it comes to this. Okay, and we'll go with it right there. That looks pretty good to me. This side is too high, just ever so slightly, so that was this one, I believe? No, it was this one. So, oops, I did not want to click edit, I wanted to click highlight. Where's that one? Okay, so yes, I'm going to delete that one and put in a new one because it was a little high and it was really bothering me. I feel using the controller for this would be a bit easier, but oh well. Okay, let's go with there. That's much better. Okay, gonna go back, swing the tire out of the way, and then fill in the back. So add just another square that goes across the back like so. Make sure it's not too high or too low. I want to make sure it's also straight on with the back, so let's go like so. There, just to make sure, go back to decal. And there we go. Go back, and it now looks like Little Jeep. As I mentioned, Little Jeep is metallic. This is a bit of a darker, sparkly blue. And then the white is actually more of a metallic silver, but this is the way I originally intended it. So yeah, that is the basics of making a paint job. I also recommend that if you made it with any of the parts open, you save it as such. I'm going to minimize that. Nope, minimize, there we go, back. I'm not sure if there's a specific save button. If we exit, it'll save it, but I'm not entirely sure on how that works. I also don't believe you can do any of the interior stuff, so let's try... Yeah, so you can't do the inside of the engine bay, under the hood, or like any interior stuff. I'll open up the tailgate and the window, and you can't like do the inside of the roof or anything, or the flooring. the Vivis might be different, because when I was doing it before, I noticed that you could paint like the main underbody, which was kind of interesting. It's the only car I noticed you could do it with. But yeah, that's Little Jeep. So I'm going to export this, call it like Lil Jeep. And that's literally how it's called. It's not little, it's Lil. Even on the transmitter for it, it's LIL. So export. And as I said, the skins that you export will be under mods, unpacked, and then whatever you named it and such. I'm using Game Bar, so it'll be a little hard to actually show it. There was something I was going to experiment with. If we do fill, I'm pretty sure it'll just cover the whole thing. So let's go like that. Yeah, so each fill layer just covers the whole thing. And we can't really do much with it. I'm not sure why you can add other fill layers. And then another thing I would really like to have is like a negative or whatever you call it, so that we can, for example, add a decal, and I'll make it black so we can see it. I'd like it so that we could cut out areas. So for example, I could have like a little blue rectangle there that just kind of shows through, but they might add that, and then we could also go into the files after and change it. So now that I've got a paint job that is like Little Jeep, I will back out of that, exit and save it, like Lil... Ooh, that's not... Oh yeah, in your file names here, use underscores for spaces, because of computer programming crap. And then save, and as I mentioned, these go into the settings dynamic paint jobs. So now if we go into parts, paint design, since I set fill to 0, no matter what color you paint it, it'll be blue. Just like Little Jeep. There we go. I'm going to now kind of not really worry about that. I'm going to load the Vivis really quick and check out the places we can put paint on that, because as I mentioned, it was a little different. If you are subscribed or follow my channel or anything, you may have noticed that on my videos where I change the RPM of the ETK 800 series or my Corvette on the Nürburgring, I have a couple of way. But into like the door jams and whatnot, a different color than everything else. I don't think you can open the hood. I thought you could open the hood on this, but I guess not. I also really don't like how all the floors and how the cage goes through the back seat. There should be a cage that goes around the back seat. So I'm going to open the doors, go into decals, create new, and this one's just a test. I'm surprised it closed the doors again. I guess it reloads everything. Alright, so fill is just the palette 1 at the moment. I'm going to add a layer, a decal, make it blue, because I like blue. Excuse me. And then, yeah, with this, as you can see, you can actually do the door jambs. That's way, and it's kind of acting weird on this car, but another option I'd like to see is like a mirror, so that anything you do on one side gets done to the other. But yeah, I find it weird how the Vivis you can actually do door jams and whatnot. So yeah, that's just a quick little video on the new skin editor. This is going to make things so much more fun and so much more personalized. I just really hope when the official multiplayer comes out, people don't go really like immature and inappropriate with stuff like people tend to on games that you can do custom paint jobs. But yeah, that is that. There's not really anything else to show. You can't paint the bottom. Bottom of the spoiler, and a jam for the back here, and it's a little weird. So yeah, I can't wait to see how they like update it and how, I guess, not powerful, but detailed you can get in the future once they add to it. So yeah, either way, I hope you have as much fun with this as I will. I hope you enjoyed, and thanks for watching.